What's the matter?
This guy Louis Dumps over here, he owes me $20. It's been 2 weeks now, and every time he sees me, he keeps dodging me.
Yeah?
He's becoming a real pain in the ass. I mean, should I crack him one or what?
What's the matter with you? What have I been telling you? Sometimes hurting somebody ain't the answer. First of all, is he a good friend of yours?
Nah, I don't even like him.
You don't even like him. Well, there's your answer right there. Look at it this way. It costs you $20 to get rid of him, right? He's never going to bother you again. He's never going to ask you for money again. He's out of your life for $20. You got off cheap. Forget it.
You're always right. You're always right.
This has been a long time coming. I don't even know how to feel about it. My first real movie review, where I actually hone in on a single film. And what a film it is. Today, we're talking about A Bronx Tale. For this movie, I'm going to throw the spoiler warning into the beginning because for a movie like this that a decent amount of people have seen, odds are that if you're watching a review, you've seen it. A lot of people are still sleeping on A Bronx Tale, but enough people have seen it that it's a lot of people's favorite movie. So, to start, A Bronx Tale serves as both a gangster and coming-of-age film, and if you ask me, is the greatest film to have ever pulled off both. But it definitely leans more coming-of-age, and it's one of the all-time greats. Lilo Brancato Jr. stars as Calogero, aka C, a teenager growing up in the Bronx in the 60s, being pulled apart in two different directions by his two biggest role models. His hardworking father Lorenzo, played by Robert De Niro, and local mob boss Sonny, played by Chaz Palminteri. This movie was actually made possible because of these two. The movie was based on Chaz Palminteri's one-man show. Yes, the entire movie. Chaz performed this movie by himself on stage hundreds of times. And from the clips I've seen, he's really good. Robert De Niro saw it once and enjoyed it so much he wanted to direct the film adaptation. Yes, this was the first film De Niro ever directed. So this was pretty important for both these actors. This movie was cast really, really well, and Lilo Brancato's breakout performance as C is one of my favorites. For a kid they pretty much pulled off the street, he strikes the perfect balance of charm and attitude. And when the fear of God is put into him, he certainly sells it. Of course, De Niro is great as always as Lorenzo, C's father. He's easily one of the top-tier movie dads. He doesn't have much, but he has his job and his family, and that's enough. Sonny is the leader of the crew that runs C's neighborhood. Although he's a gangster, he doesn't want C involved with his life, but because he's closer to the street than Lorenzo, he can see the trouble C is getting into from a mile away. And I don't think anyone would argue that Sonny is absolutely the most interesting character in the movie. Played by Chaz Palminteri, an incredibly underrated actor who I really wish was in more big roles like this, Sonny is the most powerful gangster in the neighborhood and is not a man anyone in their right mind would trifle with. But he's also incredibly intelligent and nothing short of a philosopher, doling out life advice that is useful to practically anyone. He would rather avoid conflict than take part in it. Remember, he let those bikers have a drink first before they shit on his goodwill gesture. We only see Sonny kill one person the entire movie, and although we never find out why, given everything else we know about him, this guy must have really fucked up. Lorenzo always tells C to be wary of Sonny and doesn't approve of their friendship. He says Sonny can't trust anyone, and this turns out to be true. But this doesn't mean that Sonny can't love anyone. And Sonny genuinely loves C like his own son. He doesn't have any children of his own because he got his 3 great women all at once when he was 16. See? There's just enough insight in that one scene to tell you how he feels about C. Now, C has problems of his own. His friends are delinquents and hoodlums who are obviously leading him down a dangerous path. And I gotta admit, I love his friends. Their gradual on-screen climb from basic inner-city juvenile delinquents to actual violent psychos is great. Plus, you gotta love the Mario test. C also falls in love with a black girl in the 1960s. And even for the 60s, his friends have a way above average hatred of blacks. So C is getting pulled in different directions by the people he hangs with and the people guiding him. You actually really feel the stress of this in the climax of the movie, and it's pulled off extremely well. I need to talk for a second about the setting in this film. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood in a major American city, and I am telling you, this movie completely nails the setting. Hanging on the stoop all night, not wanting to be the first to leave, Italian men romancing their women, shit like the Mario test, the nicknames. Oh my god, the fucking nicknames we had for each other. You make one false move, you have a nickname forever. I earned the name Jesus when I was a teenager because I had long hair. I'm bald now, and some people in the neighborhood still call me Jesus. So for most people, I think this movie is like a window in, but for me, it's completely immersive. It fucking nailed it. And now, the dialogue. A Bronx Tale might just be the most quotable film ever made. Of course, everyone knows.
Now you can't leave.
But there's also.
Right, the Walker man is a sucker, Dad. He's a sucker.
Is it better to be loved or feared?
You're only allowed 3 great women in your lifetime. Put them in a fucking bench. You might.
The writing in this film is nothing short of incredible. This is a drama, but there are lines in this movie that are genuinely laugh out loud funny.
Legend has it, his shadow once killed a dog.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
And all you're seeing is the tip of the iceberg.
You said it, Sonny. The music in this movie is top-notch, a great use of the doo-wop, rock, and pop of the 60s, and the biker scene remains the single greatest use of the Beatles come together in film history. And I mean, the scene with the bikers is fucking iconic. No one who's seen this movie forgets this scene. Something that really does set this film apart is that it has a lot of life lessons, and they're very organic and never ham-fisted. Sometimes Lorenzo's opinion on an issue is the right one, but sometimes it's Sonny who's in the right. And by the end of the movie, C begins to understand what was right and what was wrong. The most famous question the film asks us is whether it's better to be loved or feared. Sonny admits that if he could pick only one, he'd rather be feared because fear lasts longer than love. And he's wrong. At first, on the surface, this is true. People initially respond to fear more strongly than love. But there is a catch. Even if fear keeps you loyal to someone, the first chance you have to ditch them scot-free, you will take, and you will be relieved when they're gone. When you love someone, you would take a bullet for them. You protect the people you love at all costs. You'd sacrifice yourself for them. And so Sonny's answer to this question is short-sighted. But then again, he is a mobster, which is a lifestyle that is kinda short-sighted in and of itself. Another big argument the film makes is whether or not the working man is a sucker. And I still don't think I know what the right answer to this one is. On the one hand, of course Lorenzo is right about Sonny in many respects. He's a mobster, a career criminal, a lazy man who took the easy way out, and statistically, these guys have insanely high odds of winding up in prison or murdered. No father wants that for his kid, so teaching your kid to play it straight is generally a good lesson. But on the other hand, I also know what it's like to work your ass off day in and day out and have practically nothing to show for it. It wears you the fuck down, and I'm not gonna pretend that there's anything special about that. As they say in The Wolf of Wall Street, there is no nobility in poverty. And so I can see both sides of the argument, and both are right in a way. Availability. A lesson taught to Sonny by Machiavelli. The lesson of being close, being ready for trouble. This lesson is applicable to business just as much as the mafia. As far as C's question about whether to see Jane, Sonny was definitely in the right. Fuck what they think, you do what your heart tells you to do. That is such a good lesson when it comes to love. By the way, I'd like to tell you all that my girlfriend failed the door test the first time I gave it to her. But I haven't given her the Mario test yet, so we'll see how that goes. The saddest thing in life is wasted talent. This is a lesson from Lorenzo, and one of my favorite moments in the film is when it clicks in C's head that Sonny wasted his talent. Here is a man full of knowledge and advice who could have been anything in the world other than a criminal, and instead he made choices that ultimately led to his demise. It's a shame, but it's real. Couldn't have happened to a nicer gangster. Like I've said before, many people are sleeping on A Bronx Tale, but a lot of reviewers sure aren't. There are some great reviews of this film, but none come close to the work Michael Francis has put into it. He's not only made several videos on this movie, he's spoken with Chaz, Lilo, and Terrell Hicks, who played Jane. Some of them multiple times. He's reviewed the one-man show, too. He's obsessed with A Bronx Tale, and I don't blame him. Valuetainment had some great interviews with Chaz as well. There's a lot of good content in this one. So, what's left to say? A Bronx Tale is simply one of the great coming-of-age classics. Perhaps the most quotable film ever made, with unforgettable, even philosophical dialogue, and a setting that director De Niro absolutely nailed. and a killer soundtrack. It's one of my favorites, but you can ask anybody from my neighborhood, and they'll just tell you, that's good movie. Oh yeah, Joe Pesci is in it too. Guys, thanks so much for watching my first ever film review. I hope to do many more. I'm glad this one was short because that moral oral monstrosity took a lot out of me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Please consider donating a measly $1 to my Patreon if you really like the cut of my jib. Seriously, I'm out of your life for $1.